That's how they come. They come when you're vulnerable. You have a loss, you're angry, you're mad, you're mad at God, and that's when you're vulnerable and they show up and they can lure you to do things that you wouldn't normally do. Welcome to Beyond the Meat Suit. I'm Firefox, and tonight I'm talking about some of our tours involving interesting encounters. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Now, on these tours that we do, we have pieces of equipment and sometimes just apps. Now, one of them, the necrometer. It took a while. We've been using this for years. We bonded with it. We go to certain locations and we bond with the location as well as whatever might be there. Because we go there so much, one time I went out there, turned it on, and the first thing it said was, "Not again." Well, made me laugh. But other times, more interesting things happen. Just recently, I had a mother and daughter on tour. Mother's a little elderly, and she stayed in the Jeep, and I stayed with her, standing outside of the Jeep. And as soon as I turned the necrometer on, it said, "I'm sitting right next to you." When I kind of looked down, I was standing. I said, "Well, if you're sitting next to me, you're on the ground. But if you're sitting next to her, you're in the Jeep." And then it said, "I'm trying to communicate with you." I said, "Oh, that's interesting." So I said, "Who are you?" And the first thing that came over, it said, "Sabnock." Oh, interesting. My fellow guide who was with me, Jane, she heard me say Sabnock and did an internet search on him. Just as I looked at the next message, which said sofa. I says, "Well, the seats in the Jeep could be like a sofa, so he's definitely sitting next to you." Jane says, "Oh, here we go. Nothing like having it said a Christian demon." Well, she did her internet search and that's what she found. I said, "Oh, that's nice." Then it said psychological influence. And then me and Jane looked at each other and we get, "I don't think so." Oh, we're used to these things talking smack to us, and they've never followed through and couldn't even if they tried, because we know how to set up a shield of fierce and fearless love, which will protect us all. Sabnock does have hordes of demons at his command, but he answers to an archangel. Now, he looks like a medieval knight in plate armor. This is the illustration they showed on Wikipedia. He has the head of a lion, and he rides a pale horse. Doesn't even look scary. So I asked one of our friends, Diana Palm. No, she has been on our show, and we've been on hers. Now, she's a medium, an exorcist, and many other things. And I told her about Sabnock. She found it very interesting. She goes, "Did anyone on that tour lose anybody recently?" And I said, "Yes, the lady I was with. She lost her husband just last year." So that's how they come. They come when you're vulnerable. You have a loss, you're angry, you're mad at God, and that's when you're vulnerable and they show up and they can lure you to do things that you wouldn't normally do. Now, if she wasn't under our protection, it could certainly have gotten to her. Now, no matter how much you experience with loss, never allow these things to get to you, just as Sabnock tried. Now, she was under our protection, so Sabnock couldn't get anywhere with her. Now, it could easily have said, or came in masquerading as her dead husband, saying, "Come be with me. You'll have to kill yourself to be with me." And that's how they get under your skin. So if anything happens like this, be watchful for those demons, sly little devils. Thanks for joining Beyond the Meat Suit. And don't forget to join our tribe. Subscribe, like, share, and comment.